Good morning guys, James here from Sunseeker Southampton. Welcome to a very sunny, warm Cannes. This morning we're going to round the new 100 yacht. This one's been eagerly awaited, had lots and lots of requests for this over the last few months. Been very difficult to keep it secret squirrel at the factory, but today we're going to have a full round tour on the boat number 1. So she's behind me here. This boat has actually been delivered earlier this summer down into the Med. She's got over 250 running hours on, privately owned, and she's off to Mexico in the not too distant future, so very kindly lent to us by the owners to enjoy here on the stand down in Cannes. I'm just having a walk down the side here to try and take in this absolutely vast side profile, rarely seen on boats down here in the Med as they're generally moored stern to, but alongside the quay here we can just try and take in her substantial volume. So eagerly awaited this model. We've been hugely successful over the years at Sunseeker, up to what we call the 24-metre load line. That means the boat effectively runs under a different classification as some of our larger yachts, and it means operational costs, safe manning, crew levels, etc. can be very much reduced, relatively speaking, to a yacht of this size, but huge volume. So the boat is actually just under 30 metres overall. She's 29.85 LOA. But the really important part is hidden here, is a, technically speaking, removable bow section. So that means that this section here is not counted in part of the overall measurement. Also, the platform isn't counted in the measurement, and we can get underneath the 24-metre load line. She is actually underneath 24 metres hull length as well, which is really important for certain classifications, and therefore you can maximise the volume. So she's geared up as a 5-cabin yacht. There are options if you want to do something different, but obviously the big selling point of something like this is to have a huge main deck master cabin here up on the bow, and then the guest cabins downstairs. She's a very, very pretty boat. This one finished in typical Sunseeker classic rail white, and then we've got acres of black sexy glass painted sections, etc., to give a really sleek profile. Obviously it's boat number 1. They've learnt a lot along the way. We have now 12 contracts for these in various stages of build. Everyone is slightly different. Can't wait to show you around today. So a few more stats for you. So she's 6.9 metres in the beam, a draft of just over 2 metres, and with the M96X engines, which is the mid-level 12V MTU engine, sea trials last week in pool, we are achieving around 25 knots, wide open throttle. We have got 2 boats on order with the M96L, which is the 16V 2,600 horsepower engines. If I'm honest, I think she works very nicely with the mid-level 2,000 horsepower, but there is the option for those that want to go just that little bit faster. Realistic range on her is around 1,000 nautical miles. She's weighing in at half load about 95 tonnes all up. In the stern here, I'm going to cut a picture in. The guys are obviously preparing the boat here at the show, ready for opening in a couple of hours' time. But in the back here, there is a full tender garage. So we have room on this side for a Williams jet tender. Had to squeeze the 465 diesel jet will fit in there. It's really designed for the 460. And then on this side, you have the option to squeeze a good sized 2-seater Sea-Doo 130 GTI or something similar in the jet ski range. The platform itself on the back will actually lift 720 kilos. So if you wanted to have a tender on the back here, you could do that as an option, and then use the garage as more of a storage area for other water toys. There is the option on that garage also to have a mechanism so that once the tender is out, there is a drop-down platform to turn that whole area into a beach club. If I'm honest, with all of the other paraphernalia you carry on a yacht these days, my personal recommendation would be to stay with that as a fixed garage area. Then you've got room for your paddle boards, your dive kit, etc. And you've got plenty of aft deck entertaining space here. There isn't really the need with this extend system, which is seen on many of our other yachts here. So we've got the transformer back end with the sun pad arrangement that also lifts up then to give you seating into the cockpit. The reality is that works extremely well and negates the need, in my personal opinion, for a separate beach club. You can see obviously the doors open on the back there, bringing the transom up into the cockpit area all as one. So just a little bit more detail on the outside before we go on board. So we have obviously a black painted hardtop structure, lowers the look of the yacht from the side. We have one boat currently in full paint, which is going to be a grey colour. Little detail things I would do personally, so you can see some white sections in here, which is the GRP moulding behind the bulwark there. I would paint little bits and pieces like that, just to perhaps give a little bit of a sleeker look to her. And maybe some additional things like Harken tracks up the top here to make it easier for the crew to clean those huge glass windows. Obviously most boats like this are running proper deionised water washdown systems, which does mean they don't necessarily have to chamois off the whole exterior each morning. So let's head around on the transom here and let's get on board. See, obviously just set up the parasol on the back here, so we've got a couple of sockets in the bathing platform, so to give you somewhere to chill out on the back here. The seat is elevated off the deck, so very comfy place to spend time at anchor, chilling out, watching friends and family in the water, etc. when you're at sea. Coming up top here, you can see these beautiful glass inlaid transom gates. Very substantial presence from the back. And this area is very, very open spec. Every owner will have a different interpretation of how best to utilise this space. This one obviously engineered with those fixed GRP seat boxes. We do a lot of loose furniture options on boats like this. My personal preference is to take something like this, as it does give you nice seat storage lockers you can see underneath the tops there, and you can never have too much storage on a boat, let's be honest. Obviously we can do fixed dining out here for those that believe it's the place to spend time for formal dining, etc. Typically on a yacht of this size that would mostly be up on the flybridge, but it's very versatile. Or if you'd rather just do some freestanding loose sofas and what have you, we can incorporate that into your design. We've got a handy little wet bar come servery area here with a refrigerator and somewhere just for your crew to set up drinks. Decks on this, they're not asymmetric, but they only service two particular areas on the yacht. So here, if we start forward on the starboard side, you can obviously see we end up at a bulkhead in front of us. This particular one just has floor to ceiling glass here on the side. There is the option to have a sliding patio door in here, which would take you in as a sort of entrance to the yacht for those that are typically coming in alongside. We have a nice transom access here on the back quarter, which will take you off on the starboard side deck, and a set of drop-in stairs that would work through this side door if you require. I'm not going to go down this one at the moment, we'll do this later. This obviously is your at-sea access ladder to take you down into the engine room. And as you'd expect, typical working area on the stern quarters here. We've got the docking winches, the bins to tail off the lines, and controls for various electrical systems on the boat. Over this side, we've got platform, garage, extend, aft transom section, etc. Shore power plug-in is a 100 amp Glendenning system, which comes off the back here, and that will run the yacht absolutely fine with all the systems on board. The portside deck, just come across here to show you how that one works. We actually have the stairs there that take you up onto the foredeck, and there is a separate crew door in at the end there into the galley space, and also taking them down to the crew deck below. Coming across the top, we're going to start, I think, up on the flybridge, and then we'll work our way down afterwards. So we've got a single stairwell access here. There is a secondary access that comes from the bridge centre line up forward there. Just scan round to allow you to take in how much space we have up top. In terms of actual volume, she is almost as large up here as a 116 yacht, and it does give you huge scope. Let's walk around the back here to try and show you just how much space there is to play with. So obviously have everything pretty much on one deck here, so we can go all the way forward to the bow, which we'll have a look at in a bit. And this is very much owner's interpretation as to how you wish to use the space. So we've got the electric sun awning, as is pretty standard on yachts like this, on the back. And then the actual transom here, you can see a centerline, beautiful spa tub. Won't work for everybody. There is, of course, options to do things like freestanding teak summit furniture across the back here. It could even be a working deck space if you wanted to carry more toys. We'd have to engineer something with the rails to make them removable. but it's something to consider if you're that sort of owner, more interested in carrying as much as you possibly can in the way of outdoor water sports equipment. This one is geared up. You can see over here we've got a little side access gate. That is for a slide. They don't currently have one on board, but it is there if you wish. We would then need to put a deck socket in for the crane to recover the slide when it's deflated. I'm sure you've seen them on below decks, etc. They're an absolute nightmare, but storage wise we generally live in something like one of these sun pads. So we do have some on deck storage up here. It's a 4-person tub, and you can see nice stairwell access here, and we have the sort of infinity finish on the back. As we turn round now, you can see the dining and the bar area here, and you'll notice on this particular yacht we don't have an outside helm. Again, very much a personal choice, as the boat is fully crewed with 5 on board, and therefore the owner negates the need for an outside helm. Obviously, is technically an owner-operator yacht, and therefore some owners may wish to put a helm in outside. I have to say I would prefer one, but that is very much my personal choice, and I'm not building or owning the yacht for my own use. But if you were to do it, there would be a helm with dual seats generally over on the starboard side here. These are all optional arrangements here. It's obviously a very sheltered area here. If I just spin the camera around, sat down, you can imagine you haven't got any wind buffeting at all when you're running, and you do have a lovely panoramic view out of the back, which you'll be able to see the wake shot or what have you from where the yachts come from. What I would like to do personally, just spin back round, I think what would work really nicely is to have the helm this side. You'd have a corner servery area back there for secondary storage, and then you'd turn the bar around and orientate it across the boat here. We'd then have some stools, so the walk-up arrangement would work really nicely. Sitting at the bar, then you'd be able to enjoy a vista forward when the yacht is running, and then I would run the table transverse across the flybridge here, giving you acres of dining space. There's loads of room down both sides still if you were to do that. We have done some GA drawings to show how that might work, but this particular owner has, spec'd it slightly differently. So we have the bar here over on the starboard side. Obviously from a servery point of view, very easy for crew to come up, stocking, what have you, straight up the top of the stairs here. And just to give you an idea of what sort of kit we have, as is pretty standard on most of our boats, you'll see commercial grade ice maker. We've got refrigeration drawers. There's another set of drawers in here, fridge on the end, and lots of countertop space here for prepping the sink on the end. You can see over on the other side we obviously have 12 chairs. That is because the 2 midships cabins actually have Pullman beds in, so that gives the capacity, even though we're 5 cabins, to actually have 12 guests. Lots of freestanding furniture you can see here. Cocoa Wolf furniture on this particular yacht. Again, Minotti or any of the personal choice for an owner we can accommodate during the build. Centre opening section here, you'll see this particular one has the soft canvas. Do get a slightly larger aperture with that one. We can do the rotating blade system, as you'll see on things like the 86 yacht. Very much down to an owner how they wish to use her. You can see as I'm just scanning around here, we do have a very slight deck change here, but we are going to maintain pretty much a walk down both sides. You can see the cushions up here. The guys are just prepping the boat pre-show, but this is a really, really cool area to spend time. Worked really nicely on things like the 116 yacht. Quite a versatile space in terms of table and seating configuration to really work for however you wish to use the yacht. I say I would love to see a spa tub in here with a sun pad around here, as there's plenty of seating elsewhere on the yacht, and that would free up that aft flybridge, I think, to work really nicely with some freestanding furniture. But again, say very much up to you. These are electric adjustable backrests on the forward sunbathers here, and you imagine just the view here, out forward running at sort of 12 knots long range, semi-displacement speed. You can obviously see sail canopy arrangement here. So these are a local pool-based flexi covers with the carbon fibre poles. Just lifts the yacht from the old days of just the pure parasols up here. And then we do have on this particular yacht a projector screen that drops in. You've got little brackets you can see on the frame here, and that does mean you can chill out in the evening up here, put a film on, and you've got a full zoned AV system, mixture of JL audio, Sonos, Sonance, a little bit of fusion, very much creating a great atmosphere on board. So I'm looking just forward now down to the working deck space in front of the master cabin itself. There are a couple of chairs, we'll see them, they're down in the master cabin at the moment just waiting to go out for the day. But there is the option then very much to turn this, if you wish, into a private owner's deck. It was seen as a big selling point of the yacht, very much down to an owner's personal usage. I have discussed with a couple of different clients the option perhaps even to do away with the door here just to keep the glass window in the front, and you would extend the sun pad forward over the top here. Again, it's a different moulding request, there would be a cost to do something like that, but it is an option for those that want to do something different. Obviously this particular boat is running private. If you were a coded boat, there are various different standards we can build to, whether that is an MCA, MGN 280, or even a multi-code. We have now achieved that on this boat. So there are storm shutters that go over here, obviously for bad weather running. All of the deck equipment is hidden below the floors here, so you can see we have a very nice, clean working space. Just pop some lockers up here so you can appreciate what we've got. So there's two V8 anchor winch motors under the deck there, with hawser tubes that run down over the front. You can obviously see from up on the bow here, a little bit tricky to see over the front. A couple of little custom changes again I would consider doing is extending these rails all the way down forward. We give you something to hang on to as crew working the full deck, and I would have a couple of CCTV cameras up there as well to give you better visibility for launching and recovering those anchors vertically down below. We just move this table out of the way. Careful not to damage the deck. And in here is what we refer to the Basins Locker. So obviously you need storage for things like your fenders, lines, spare ground tackle and what have you. So it's always a handy space for bits and pieces. So this technically is our crash bulkhead here, and we do have, say, this removable bolt-on section here, which isn't classified in the yacht's measurement. Obviously a nice ladder to get down there, the chains and everything behind, so it keeps this as a nice easy access working deck area. Just drop this back down, put the table back. See, we've got a couple of mooring bollards up the top here, obviously for ground lines if you're working on a fore and aft mooring into somewhere like a port, and you can see we currently stored, that is a parasol for this foredeck area. Coming back up, you can see this was the side deck access back onto the port deck. It does give you the versatility for crew working deck to get easily from the forward to the aft deck. We've got a couple of refrigerators in here. If we head back round here, we'll take a look inside. So we will actually come in off the flybridge here directly into the bridge area. So we have a sliding door. This one's a manual door. Good morning. I don't want to interrupt the team working their way through the boat. Currently preparing her for the morning. We come down here into the bridge. So we have a premium upgrade on the Simrad navigation. We've got three 24-inch glass bridge screens, 72 nautical mile Simrad Halo Pulse radar system, and you can see all the various controls. The engines here over on the starboard. We've got the monitoring panel here for all the tankage, as we mentioned earlier. In terms of fuel, we've got 12,800 litres on board, 1,800 litres of fresh water. Fin stabilisation system here, so we're running a CMC electrical fin stabiliser system. They do flip 180 degrees at anchor, which obviously stops the walking of the fins forward if the weather does calm down, and we just sit here at the helm, let you take in the full view from the bridge itself. In terms of working area, from a practical point of view, we've got chart space up on the top here. We've got various storage cupboards for binoculars and all the usual paraphernalia that a captain may wish to keep close to hand. And then we have the observation seating here, tucked around behind, where guests and friends can come and sit up here, join in the running of the boat. Obviously somewhere also for the operational crew to sit out of the way when they're underway. Wood finish on this particular one, you can see, is a satin silver oak. Lots of options, again, very much to a owner's bespoke taste. we're going to walk down these and we'll head back into the saloon. So I'm actually going to just run through this back to the doors to allow you to start this from the back. So these are manual doors on this particular yacht. We can do electric doors, and they do all stack back here onto the port side. Very clever system. Not a cheap upgrade, but for those of you that want to do something, again, a little bit higher spec, the option is there. So we're just coming in, imagining yourself onto the yacht for the first time. We could take in this stunning saloon space. You'll notice how high the ceilings are above me. Just spin the camera around, say just under 6 foot myself. We've got absolutely massive, this is like 2.5 meters in here to the ceiling. It gives you a huge feeling of space. If you add the glass windows running down both sides of the saloon, this is a fantastic space. Difficult obviously to really fully appreciate with yachts either side here in port, but get her out onto anchor and you can just imagine a stunning place to sit watching the sun go down, chilling out watching the Formula One on TV. Obviously huge 65-inch TV over there. We've got to say a huge AV system on this boat. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that sort of thing as it's very much down to an owner's bespoke taste, but this one's very modern, minimalist inside. I say has been running throughout the Med this summer season and she presents extremely well. There's a PBX telephone system. Again, things like this not needed by all owners. We've got intercom, satellite phone connectivity and a full touchscreen system for all things like the lighting, HVAC controls, etc. So just scanning around as well as the saloon at the back here, we are integrated into all-in-one with the dining space forward. Lovely piece of inlaid stone there. So the standard Minerva stone has been upgraded in all of the heads and worktops here, so we've actually got a custom marble on top. Floors have all been upgraded, so these would normally have an inlaid carpet in the saloon area at the back here, but this one's running the floors all the way through. We've got a little bit of storage in the sideboard here. This sideboard is all of the crockery, glassware, and there's space up on the bulkhead there to do a piece of artwork, or you could even put the TV up here and we could do something different at the aft end of the saloon, very much down to an owner's personal taste, but plenty of storage if the boat's running for charter, say for all of the usual formal dining, etc. I do think it would benefit in here to have the glass sliding doors, which from the factory as an option are on this side. Hasn't, as far as I'm aware, been requested, but it may also be possible to look at doing something this side. We have manual blinds in here. Again, you could do something electric if you wish. And you can see things like the accent LED lighting on the ceilings. It's a very modern lacquer finish, and we've got the lovely little spotlights, details, etc. to create different modes in the evening. So let's head forward down the starboard side here, where we have a companionway lobby. This takes you down to the guest cabins, which we'll cover off in a minute. So we have a little lobby space. This is a technical crew space. I'm not going to go into too much detail in there, but lots of easy access for electronics, what have you. A little bit of main deck storage on this side. Not going to do too many cupboards with you today. Plenty of opportunity, I'm sure, over the coming months to check these out in a bit more detail. Day heads is standard on these. Optional on some of the smaller yachts, but is a nice feature to have here. A little bit of storage in here. We've got a wine fridge. I think it would benefit, I say, with the side door there. It just gives you a nice little entrance to the yacht when you first come on board. So this is really the party piece on the boat. This is the actual master cabin itself. Where this would typically be downstairs or on a larger yacht, such as the 95, before this model, we had a duplex arrangement. The bathroom was downstairs, and whilst it was fantastic in its layout, for owners that would rather have everything on one level, it wasn't an option. So we can see as we first come in here, we've got a beautiful vanity station and sideboard arrangement here. Again, all very much finished to the highest possible standard. Beautiful, beautiful joinery, lots of little inlaid leather detailing. On this side, we've got the full wardrobe set up, so there's a nice little sort of walk-in wardrobe area here with a safe, etc. Full length hanging there for ladies with their dresses. On this side, so these are all, as you'd expect, a mixture of cupboards and more wardrobes, etc. And then we come through to the stateroom itself. So these are the 4-deck chairs that will sit up there later on, if they're done by the time we finish the tour. I will just have a quick run around there so you can see what they're like set up. And you can see this beautiful centerline double bed with a vista straight out there onto the 4-deck. So obviously you can see it's a sliding door arrangement, does allow you to access onto that private deck without having to go out onto the transom. And you can just take in the finishes. There is such a wow to this, as it was with the 95. Really, I think this is what sells the boat for those that want to stay under that 24-metre load line. There is very, very little to seriously consider as competition in this size, and this does do it so well. So you've got these vast, vast glass windows bonded into the hull, forms part of the structural integrity, and you can see nice little opening port lights as well there. It does give you the ability to run at night with all the aircon off and what have you, and really quieten down the boat. Coming through here into the bathroom, you can see a giant shower here, which is obviously finished in the upgraded stone I mentioned earlier. Might be a few little flickers on the camera here from the LED lighting above, have to excuse that. And of course a private loo with a separate sink there on the outboard side. You can see things like the stainless steel inlays in the doors here and the different wood grains to give something a little bit special. Whether you like that or the checkerboard effect, high gloss lacquer. These are finished in a matte finish. You can see on some of those lower level cupboards, it's very much down to each owner's individual style as to what they like. So let's head back round and we'll go down and do the guest cabins. So centre midships stairwell here. You can see these are open stairs so that you can get down to the below deck accommodation. Some little tweaks I would do going forward on some of the later yachts, a little bit of storage we can incorporate into this side because it's just a void. You see obviously all the towel storage in here, linen storage, etc. Very much for your stews for setting up the cabins each day. And there are 4 guest cabins down here, configurable exactly as an owner wishes. So this particular boat has 2 sliding twin cabins with the Pullman beds and then 2 fixed doubles. 43-inch TVs there up on the wall, and you can see, just trying to give you a feeling of space in here, large glass windows. Again, loads of storage with that sort of 1,000 nautical mile cruising range. She will be used for long distances by some owners, I'm sure, rather than just day trips and weekends away with friends here and somewhere like the Riviera. So these are very much almost mirror image cabins. If we come out of this one and across the hallway, you can see again very much the same take from a different angle. I would be interested, I have drawn it out and I think it would work, to actually turn these beds around 180 degrees and see if you could achieve a view out of that side window. It would mean a little bit of faffing around with bulkhead doors there to get into the heads, but I do think it would be beautiful to have a headboard there, maybe the TV on a drop down out of the ceiling and get that view out of the window. We have done it on larger yachts before, so I think with a bit of jiggery pokery it might be possible. So if we come forward, these are currently configured in 2 different setups to give you an idea of how the space works, but rather than an offset double, you can see we do have that twin or double option. They come together centerline, and then this is actually the extra Pullman bed. So if they were configured as singles in here, it does give the ability to get a couple of extra guests on board, say for a total of 12 on board. Maximum really you can run on a yacht before you get into huge complicated regulatory changes, and the reality is most yachts don't want to do that. So big bathroom there, and if we just come across you can see how the cabin works if it's configured in the twins. So obviously still huge space. We've got loads of dressing space on the floor. I would say almost as big, if not bigger, than a 116 in these 2 midships cabins. Again, we can achieve a bit more storage in places like this. So say lots of little subtle things we've learnt over the course of build. Yacht number 2 has just literally finished production and is off to Portugal in the not too distant future. Showing you a few storage areas around the boat. And again, great sized bathroom, feature mirrors, etc. So let's head back up. Across to this side, we'll take a look in the galley and the crew space. So portside the yacht, as we mentioned earlier, we do have a crew door in off the side deck itself. They have, as we just walk in here, full commercial refrigeration. See big fridge, freezers, a nice little place for Stu to do drinks from. You can see plug sockets, etc. everywhere. We've got 2 4-burner upgraded hob tops here. And everything you'd expect in here in terms of dishwashers, etc. For me, if I was configuring this slightly differently, I do think this is a high traffic area down into the crew space. It might be better to move the hobs round onto this top, and we would bring the cupboards round to this way. Whether we could squeeze 2 in there, I don't know, we'd have to have a look at a drawing, but I do think it might just give a little bit more prep area close then for servery out, perhaps a little safer with the high traffic area of crew coming through here continuously. Obviously this one's finished in this lovely gloss sprayed lacquer on the cupboards. And this takes us forward down into the crew space. So I say geared up for 5, captain, chef, deckhand, a stew, and then a deck stew who would assist in a multitude of different roles. Captain will need some engineering experience, say with 5 generally they'll be doing a combination of different roles whilst on board. Just giving you the take-in little mini galley set up in here. Very few changes on the later boats. We made the table a little bit smaller to give a bit more space. They've got monitoring panels up here, so we've got see a 12-inch Simrad plotter and a CM8 control panel there for all the tankage on board. 1225 litres of grey, and the same for the black waste tank, so plenty of capacity on board. So these are configured as 2 twin bunk cabins. We have done a couple of little revisions, these extending out the top bunk to give you a better space for your onboard crew. So 2 in here with their own bathroom, and then again the same coming across. On this one we're beneath the master cabin at the moment, and then a captain's cabin in its own right. There would be room technically to add another bunk into here, although generally a yacht of this size, a captain would expect their own cabin, and you've got full laundry facilities as you'd expect. So you'd never know the boat's done 250 hours. The crew absolutely beautifully kept. Let's head back outside. You'll get asked the all-important question, so how much are these days? So the reality is this one, loaded up with a good spec, is around £10.5 million sterling ex-tax, starting at about 8.7 million, and that is subject to change because realistically build is well into the future now. So this takes us down into one of my favourite parts of the boat. You'll have to excuse, there's a bit of noise running down here. We've got frequency converters running for electrical systems and what have you. 2 outboard generators were upgraded on this particular boat to the larger option, and you can see these stunning MTU is a Rolls-Royce parent company. I say in the 12V 2000 series M96X engines, and these lovely lagged exhausts. I say it's full commercial spec down here, beautifully finished. You can see all of the independent breakers here in the boxes, 5 flaps on the extractor fan system there, again monitoring panel, some nav kit what have you. Everything from your water makers, fuel treatment plants, hydraulic packs for the various onboard systems. It's all in here and it's all easily accessible. I'm just showing you around the back here, so Atlas and Atlas transformer up the back there, so she will obviously be going to 110 when she goes across the Atlantic. And you can see this is the garage tucked in the back here, lots of soundproofing and also to keep the heat out. This particular boat is configured with a huge bank of upgraded batteries there. It's 1.5 tons of weight, and if I'm honest, I'm not sure that I would rush to do that. If I'm honest, with most of the onboard technical systems, the boat is really designed to run 24 hours a day on generator power. I might have a small inverter system to run my refrigeration and AV overnight, but trying to run aircon systems, etc., simply doesn't work on boats of this size. You can't get enough capacity in to do it. And whilst it might circulate the fans, you're not going to run the chillers, etc., on battery for any length of time. So I personally would save the weight. You'd often put the weight straight back on again with water toys. So it's again very much down to an owner's spec as to what they want to achieve. But I think you could remove some of that battery bank and the complicated inverter system that's running on here and still end up with a very nice workable solution. So I could very happily spend all day in there. It is a fantastic place to be. So there you have it, 38 minutes, looks like on the camera, end to end. There's obviously a lot more I could cover on this one and wax lyrical about it all day. It is a fantastic yacht. So we built plenty of 28 metres, and then the 95 yacht, which obviously is still in production, still a very popular build with us, and then the 100 yacht, I say. Now deliveries, we do have a build slot that is for 2024, early in the spring, and the next 4 yachts after that are sold, which then takes us to 2025. So if you are serious about something like this, I say do get talking to us sooner rather than later. I do think with the Cannes show here on over the next few days, probably going to find that slot goes, and then it is well into the future for a new one. If you'd like to know more, of course, it's james@sunseekersouthampton.com, or the mobile is +44 7747 686 587. I'd love to talk to you about a project such as this. So if you'd like to know more, please do get in touch.